Hi everybody, it's Make It Month 11. So we're looking at hollow forms, and so far we've made a hollow pendant and we've added hollow elements onto designs to give them a bit more depth and 3D shape. And this time what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to make a shadow pendant or ring. I haven't decided what I'm making yet. I've got no idea what I'm doing as always. But I've been rummaging through my scrap box and I found a little silver dome. So a circle of silver that's been domed in a doming block. So I thought I would use this to make a hollow form that you can see into, so a shadow box type shape. I've got another scrap of silver here which I've annealed, and I've got some laser cut paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this through the rolling mill so it takes on this texture. There we go. This has taken that texture on quite nicely. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my dome as a template to draw a circle around this shape. I'm going to hold it over my shape and draw around it using a Sharpie. Like so. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut this circle out, but then I'm also going to cut out some of the detailing in between it as well, so that eventually when I solder the two together I'm going to be able to see through some of this inside my little dome to give it a bit more dimension to it. I'm just going to cut this with my shears, but in a minute when I cut the more detailed sections out I'll swap and I'll use my saw frame. There we go. And once I've cut this I'm going to give it a good file just to neaten up those edges. There we go. And remember, with the file it's push and lift, and I need to go with the curve of my shape. Okay, so now I'm going to cut some of the spare silver away. So I'm going to cut into where this little mandala design has little V recesses. So I've got my saw. I'm going to put some beeswax on the back of the blade, and then I just need to sit and cut this out. If you want to catch up on your sawing tutorials, you can go back to Make It Month 2 and have a little look. I'm using a number 4 blade. There we go. So I'm going to do that on the rest of them and then I'll show you how it comes out. That's all cut out and it just fits into my dome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder that to the dome, and then it will be a hollow form but with little cutouts, little recesses where you can see inside this little dome. So what I'm going to do eventually is I'm going to oxidize, darken down the inside, and that will just add a lot of depth to it. But the other thing I thought I would do, because we've got that nice circle shape in the middle, is using a pre-made setting cup. I'm just going to put a little stone setting onto there as well. So I'm going to go set that up now and have a little go soldering it, and I'll show you when it's set up. Okay, so I've got my little dome and I have my little shape ready to solder. So I could flux these and use my normal Polygon solder if I wanted to, in which case what I would do is sweat soldering. So I would flux my shape and add some solder to the points, heat it until the solder flows. But because a few of you have asked about it, I'm going to use the solder paste again. So with the solder paste, remember, you don't need flux. It's pre-mixed in here. You don't need normal solder. It is in this paste. What you do need to do is have good ventilation or extraction, and wash your hands when you're done. and just dabbing it on each of the corners. There we go, so that's the paste solder on. I've put everything into position, got my goggles on, got my torch, got my electric lighter. I'm going to light it and start soldering. So if you remember again from the previous soldering tutorials, it's about getting the elements you're soldering to the same soldering temperature, not necessarily heating each element the same amount. So because my dome is bigger and it's lower down and more protected, I'm focusing all my heat underneath on the dome. That's the solder paste burning off, which is why we were talking about having good ventilation or extraction. And now the dome's coming up to temperature, so I'm going to start heating my little mandala shape a bit more and being very careful about the setting of getting too hot. See how hot this little shape's getting, so I'm keeping a close eye on it so I don't melt it. This is one of the downsides with the solder paste. I find you have to get things much hotter for the solder to run compared to normal Pallion strip solder. There we go, so I'm just leaving it to cool till it goes grey, and then with my insulated tweezers I can pick it up. I'm going to quench it in the cold water. And then check it's stuck. Good, and then I can put it in the pickle. Leave it in there till it's gone nice and clean. It's out the pickle, all soldered. So what I need to do now is I need to lower the height of this little setting cup because it is the wall is too tall for the stone that I want to put in it. So I'm just going to use this to the file. I'm just going to file it down. I could have done this before soldering it on as well. Keep turning it in case I'm pushing more on one side of the file than the other, so it'll just help keep it level. See, it's starting to take the height down. I've filed that down so it's the right height for my stone, and if you want to catch up on how to do bezel setting, you can look back at the previous tutorials on the Kernowcraft blog. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to file two little notches to help me get a chain through into this little hollow form. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark where I want those notches to be with a Sharpie, just so I know where it is I want to be filing. So I'll put two little black marks on there, and then before going in with my file, because the chances are I would slip and it would jiggle around the place, I'm going to notch where I want the file to go with my saw blade, and it's just going to make a little recess to help the file grip. There's one. When you're trying to notch metal, push upwards and then down, and the upwards motion is what helps it. Make a little notch where you want, and then when I've got my notch I can swap to, I've got a little round needle file, and I'm just going to file a little recess. These are diamond files, so I can scrub them back and forth unlike a normal file. See it starting to go? Just being careful not to file my pattern to the surface. Same on the other side. I've filed some notches in the side, so now I have a hole that's accessible to thread a chain through. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use some liver of sulphur and just darken, oxidize the inside of this little shape, and probably around here as well. So I'm going to go and put some gloves on and some goggles and things, and then I'll show you how it turns out in the end. If you want to see how to use liver of sulphur, there's some videos up on the Kernowcraft blog, and they've done some tutorials on it as well. There we go, all dark. I've got some wire wool, and I'm just going to give it a little rub on the areas that I want to shine up a little bit. So it's just going to make my pattern pop a little bit. Like so. So now it's ready for me to set my stone. If I was using a translucent stone, I would need to make sure I clean up the inside of that setting, but as I'm using an opaque one, I'm just going to leave it dirty. There we go, so I've popped the stone in. This is looking all shiny, and I just need to set it. And again, if you go back to previous months, you'll be able to see the bezel setting tutorials. I've stuck it on my sandbag just so that I don't squish my nice dome shape on the bottom. So if you've got just like a little something that is supportive but will stop this sitting on a completely flat surface, that will do the trick. Just need to keep pushing and rocking until all those little nibbly bits, bumpy bits, have smoothed out. Starting to get there. Keep going. Then swap to my burnisher. Swap into my burnisher, and I'm just rubbing it over that setting to smooth it out best I can. And then what I'll do as well is I'll rub it around these edges, pushing as hard as I can to get as neat a finish, and then rub on the edges and make them nice and shiny as well. And it'll also just smooth them out a little bit, just making it nice and sparkly. And then all I have to do is thread the chain through that little notch, and it will be ready to go. And it's all done. One little shadow box, 3D hollow form pendant. Get it to focus. There we go. So, hope you like it. As always, I'll do a little close up so you can see it better. But basically, it's hollow, so domed on one side, flat on the other, little cutaways, oxidized inside, and a little garnet set on it. And I think it looks quite Christmassy. So I might have to wear this tomorrow when I'm teaching. Anyway, let me know how you get on, have a play, and share what you managed to make. One little shadow box pendant, hollow form, little garnet set in it. Obviously still needs some cleanup, but I hope you like it. And I hope you have a go. Make some sort of hollow form. Or if you already make hollow forms, if you want to share what you make, feel free to use the hashtag #MakeItMonth11 and let us know what you've been up to. But for just now, there's my little Christmas pendant.